How you doing, everyone? Hope everyone had a good day. The weather's starting to break, so you should start feeling good about that. Get some projects done around the house, inside, outside. Keep yourself busy. That's what it's all about, staying busy. What do you call it? Nights are, like I said, nights are going to be kind of like, the worst part, especially when the weather breaks. If it's nights outside, people are going to be out more. So, for me, I was in a really bad spot every night, to be honest with you, when my wife left. There was no activity in the house with my daughter. Still looking at all the photos that were still there. It just memories. It put me in a really dark place and really took a toll on me. It really did. I mean, I lost 23 pounds in a month and a half. I couldn't really do anything about what was going on. My wife, she wasn't with anyone at the time, but she had already left. And I knew there was a high probability that she wasn't going to come back. So that's what made it worse. And the thing is that I couldn't really focus a lot on doing just the normal things that you do. I mean, I did go grocery shopping and stuff like that, but a lot of times I had to throw away a lot of food because I wasn't eating. So that's something you want to focus on too. Like if you're having a hard time eating, but you have to get groceries, just get what you need. Don't get a whole bunch, because if you're not eating, you're going to be tossing them away. You just waste money. And these days, you can't really waste money with all the stuff going on, everything going up. But yeah, it took a toll on me. And like I said, it took me about 8 months to crawl out of that hole that I was in, because eventually I had to move out. And the crazy thing is that, like 2 months later, that's when she started seeing someone, and I knew that. It was even worse for me. I couldn't do anything about it. What are you going to do when somebody, is on the receiving end, and somebody, your significant other, made up their mind that it was over? They can basically do whatever they want. And plus, she had moved out too. She went to her mom's house, and she was up there with my daughter, and so basically she could have done whatever she wanted, and she did. She met someone, and the rest was history. When she met someone, it kind of really makes it. It will make it hard for you to get her back. Because I tried to. I did some really stupid stuff, but I was desperate. I was begging, crying. But at the end of the day, she had made up her mind, so that was really hard. I embarrassed myself a lot. You do things like that. Things that, you love someone, you will do some stupid, crazy stuff. At the time, it wasn't stupid. I felt like you have to do what you have to do to get them back, regardless. You don't care how embarrassed you're going to be, how embarrassing it's going to be. Some of my friends, they were just upset that I was going through that. So it was kind of really hard. It affected everyone. It just didn't affect me. It affected our friends, family. Obviously me more, because I'm the one that had to deal with it. But it was extremely hard. This is why I tell people, when you're going through this, you want to listen to someone who went through it. Therapy is good. Reading is good. All that's good. It's good. It's therapeutic. It's all good. And that's what you should do and continue to do. But until you went through it, until that person went through it, it doesn't mean anything. Hearing it from someone who actually went through it and knows what you're about to go through, and I'm telling you, it's going to be hard. So you have to be really vigilant up here and here. You got to protect this, man, because At the end of the day, when this hurts and this hurts, well, when this hurts down here, this is not going to work right. And that's a fact. It's not. You can start thinking some crazy stuff, and a lot of times that's what your mind does. It's going to play tricks on you. It's going to, you're going to be thinking the worst when nothing really is going on. I mean, it could be, but you don't want to think negatively, because it's just going to drive you crazy. And that's what's going to cause you to not eat, not exercise, not do any of the things you used to do. Some of the stuff that you used to do around the house, you no longer do. The dishes might pile up. You're not. You're out of sync, completely out of sync. It's like having a chemical imbalance. Equilibrium is completely off, and that's what it does. Especially, divorce. And if you're on the receiving end, like I was, it was something that you didn't want, you couldn't see it, but it happened because of your behavior. Arguing over dumb stuff. That's why I emphasize a lot about people who are having issues in their marriage right now, and they're still together. Just don't fight over dumb, petty stuff. Trust me, it's not worth it. If you love that person and you don't want to get a divorce, just stop it. Walk away, go outside and vent, take a ride. Don't argue over dumb stuff, and don't stop sleeping in the same bed together. That's important. That's how you create a bond. Like I said before in one of my videos, you could be mad at someone and, go to bed together, and throughout the night you're probably holding each other, and when you wake up in the morning, you're not as upset as you were. And you can talk about it and let things calm down, let the dust settle. That's what you want. Because it's not, like with me, my wife checked out. It was over dumb, petty stuff, and if I would have just, pretty much did what my wife asked me to do, I'll still be married. But, it doesn't really work like that. You gotta try to the best of your ability to change the person that you are. Be the person who you were when you first met. I know it's hard because once you've been with somebody for a long time, you're used to being with that person. You forget about the stuff that you used to do, what kept you guys together, what made it interesting, what made it fun. Going on dates, this and that, and then you get comfortable. You move in together, you get comfortable, and you forget about all that. You stop doing those things. You shouldn't really stop doing things like that. You should continue to do things like that because it's healthy. It keeps the passion alive, so to speak. It does. It puts you in a situation where you don't have to worry about being in a situation that you're in now. And that's what it's all about. But at the end of the day, when something like this is happening to you, you have to know that it's not going to be easy. This is why I emphasize a lot on, having, a support system. I didn't have one. I did all that by myself. It was extremely hard. No one called me, seen me, checked up on me. It was nothing like that for like 8 months. It was really hard. Now I'm a better person now. I'm stronger now. I'm doing really good. I met someone, so everything's going good so far. But, I'm still going to be doing these videos over here because I know it's important for me to make these videos because, it changed me. I learned a lot from being married, and it changed me completely. I'm not that person I used to be, that's for sure. I'm not. And I told myself that, the next person I meet is going to benefit from it because, I'm going to know what not to do. Being married, I tell you one thing, it's true what they say. You learn a lot from being married. You really do. You gotta. That's why a lot of times, it takes a second marriage, or second the big commitment with someone before usually everybody gets it right. That's why most first marriages end in divorce. That's why the rate's so high, and that's why the second marriage is a little bit better. But I just want to let you guys know that it's going to be hard, but you have to, You have to keep going. You have to. It's going to be a new chapter in your life, and you have to be strong, mentally, physically, here too for your kids, because this is going to be something that you. This is going to be something that's going to be that's going to try you. You know, this is in terms of like the hardest things that you have to do in your life. You know, a marriage, a broken marriage is one of them. If it's mutual, it's different. You know, when you're on the receiving end, like I was, really hard. You know, if you were the one that they initiated the separation, it's a little different. It's what you wanted. You know, I guess it wasn't meant to be, and you know, and you want to move on, but you know, when there's kids involved, it's a little harder because you still have to have communication with that person. But so for those of you that are going through this right now, the only thing I can tell you is you gotta keep busy. I emphasize that a lot on almost all my videos. You gotta stay busy. You gotta keep your mind from going off the rockers. You already know what you have to do. You know what's going on. You can't avoid it. You know what's going on. It's a really huge reality check. That's what it is. You know, it's you wake up one day and your life is different. You're no longer married or you're separated. You're no longer going to be married. Your kid's not around you all the time any longer. You know, I was with my daughter since day one. You know, and then last year it was like, it all changed. Now I've been seeing my kid twice a week, sometimes once a week for 4 hours, which is crazy. Trust me, it's crazy. It's driving me nuts. But you want to start making some changes in your life. Start eating healthy, work out. You know, just remember the hobbies that you had before you got married that you no longer do. You should probably go back to doing that again. Do what makes you happy. Remember what made you happy? Do what makes you happy. That's what you have to do. You know, go to the gym, coffee shops, meet people. You know, all that is what you need right now. Projects around your house, backyard. You know, take care of this first. Take care of your home or apartment or whatever dwelling that you're at. You take care of that. Start moving forward. Start thinking about, you know, your future. It's a new chapter in life without your significant other, because that person is going to be gone. You know, if you have kids, obviously they're going to be in the picture for a while, but they're going to be gone. So you have to, like, you know, don't, you know, the object is to, you know, heal, right? But, you know, everybody heals differently. You want to, you know, for me, it took a while, but because I love my wife and I couldn't accept, you know, what was going through my life. You know, it was really hard for me to accept it, you know, and then when I really did accept it, which was, you know, not long ago, a few months ago, I realized that I have to just, you know, pick up the pieces and start over. And that's what you have to do. You have to start over. And there's nothing wrong with starting over. There really isn't. Because, you know, at the end of the day, the person that you're with might not end up being the person that you end up being with. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. You know, with my wife, you know, maybe I was just supposed to have a kid with her and that's it. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. Maybe I was just supposed to have my daughter with my wife and that was it. You know, it ran its course, really. You know, and people, you know, just fall out of love. Just a fact of life. It's just the way it is. You have to accept it. But for those of you that are going to go through this, you know, trust me when I tell you, you're going to have some, you know, some really dark times. And, you know, just focus on what you want to do with your new life. Go on a vacation. If you have to go on vacation, trust me, it works. It worked for me. You know, I went on that cruise and I took in the fresh air of the ocean. You know, went to the Bahamas. You know, I took it all in. I felt good. I met people on the boat that were great. You know, I met someone on a boat. She's great. So far, so good. I'm not rushing anything, but so far, so good. Maybe for me, this is what should have happened. It's supposed to happen. I don't know, but we'll see. But for everyone else, just focus on what you need to do. You know, getting healthy, exercising, you know, learn how to cook, make your own meals. You start eating healthier. That's what you want. If you're having a hard time sleeping, you know, take some medication over the counter, but just make sure it's not going to do you any harm. Read the description and make sure it's not going to harm you. Okay, if you're pregnant, definitely read the description. Okay, you know, exercise, go for walks. If you can't, you know, focus up here, go for a walk. Walks are great. Walk around the neighborhood. Get to meet some of your neighbors. You know, have people over. You know, it's all about distractions. You know, that's what it's all about too, right? Get distracted from what's going on. You know, and then you deal with that as it comes along. For me, it's just a matter of just filling out the divorce papers, and that's all she wrote. You know, that's coming up soon. I don't know, 2 months probably. You know, and it's gonna. I ain't gonna get me wrong. I'm gonna be upset about it. It's gonna be a sad day, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm gonna feel good about it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be enemies with. I'm not gonna be enemies with my wife because, you know, at the end of the day, she was a good woman, good mom, and it just, you know, it happens. You know, there's nothing I can do about that. But, you know, I don't want to be enemies with her, and hopefully we can be friends. If she ever needs me, I'll be there. Not a problem. But for those of you that are taking it a little hard, you know, it's gonna be hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's gonna be hard. It's going to be hard. That's why you need. That's why just get a support system. Your family, friends. You're gonna have to. It's gonna be hard. There's gonna be nights where you can't sleep at all. You're gonna lose so much sleep. Trust me, I lost so much sleep like that. I'm never gonna get back. Thank God, you know, and I didn't, you know, I drew drink a little bit, but I wasn't drinking. So that's another thing I want to emphasize. You know, just don't start drinking heavily because it's not going to do you any good. It's going to make you feel terrible, and you're going to look worse. You know, and it's all about looking better, feeling better, healing. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when you look good and you feel good, you're happy. You're happier. But drugs, you don't need drugs. I don't do drugs. You know, they're not good for you anyway. That's just as bad as alcohol. You know, if you have to take something to go to sleep, do that. But take it with caution, you know. Yeah, just stay active, you know, and just get out of the house. Watch movies. If you have to watch 2 movies, watch 2 movies. Stay active. That's what you want to do. Get out of the house and meet people. And like I said, you know, the weather's starting to break. It's starting to get nice. And you're probably going to be outdoors a lot. And that's what you want to be. You want to be outdoors. You want to be stuck in the house by yourself thinking about what's going on. It's just going to drive you crazy. You know, this is why I make these videos, because I know what I went through. And, you know, I have, you know, I'm big on empathy. You know what I mean? I don't like seeing people, you know, I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. I know how hard it's going to be. It's going to be really difficult. And this is why I'm going to make these videos over here. And I'm going to continue to make these videos so people can understand that, you know, you need someone to talk to. And I'm always going to be here. You know, that's why I said, you know, leave a comment. I always respond to my comments. Not a problem at all. Just shoot me something and we can talk about it. But, you know, it's encouraging to talk about it. And I find it a lot easier for me to talk to strangers than I do people I know, because a lot of times, you know, you don't want to put your business out there, you know, because it's personal, it's private. You know, I mean, some family members are going to know, some friends might know, but, you know, you want to cut it off right there. The whole world doesn't need to know. So my main goal for you is to just, you know, you got to protect this. You got to protect this most of all. Because if you don't have that, you have nothing. Like I said, you're not gonna eat, you're not gonna sleep, you're gonna get lazy, tired. You're not gonna want to do it. You're not gonna want to do anything. Trust me, nothing. And I lost to 23 pounds in a month and a half, which is a lot. But I gained it most of all of it back, and I'm happy about that. I just started going to the gym and eating healthier, and I was just focused. And once I got out of that hole I was in, I just started focusing on, I need to get healthier, and I need to get my weight back, and continue to work, and do something that keeps me busy outside the house. Ride on my motorcycle, whatever it is that you do, that you like doing, do it. You like working on cars, work on cars. You like working on motorcycles, work on motorcycles. Just get out of the house. That's what you want to do. So I'm going to leave you with this. Don't worry about what's going on with your significant other. You can't control that. Focus on you. Focus on being a better person. Focus on your coping skills. If you have to change everything about you, you do that, all right? Because sometimes it could be you that caused, it could have been you that caused the problem, and you're going to continue to, it's going to be a cycle. Next person you meet, you're going to go through it again. You got to change everything about you. For me, I'm definitely not that person I used to be, that's for sure. If you could do that, then you're going to be a better person, and it's going to show. People are going to see a difference in you. Your significant other is going to see a difference in you. Who knows? You might even get back together if you want to. But that's the main goal, just to get better, get healthier, stay strong here and here, and you be in a good place. It's going to get better. Trust me, it's going to get better. You will survive. Okay? Just focus on yourself, your kids, and walk in that path, and you'll be okay. And as always, just subscribe to my channel, hit that notification, ring that bell, give me a thumbs up, share my content with everyone, short videos, long videos, have a lot of good stuff in there. Leave a comment, I'll respond to my comment, and I'll talk to you guys later. Be strong, be safe, okay? And have a good night. Peace.